The station floated silently above Saturn, its black metal frame blending into the endless night. From the outside, it looked dead. No lights, no movement. But deep inside, behind layers of armored walls, a small lab was alive with fear, Doctor. Alara Voss stood frozen over the microscope, her eyes locked on the glowing red drop trapped inside a containment cell. It wasn't supposed to glow. Human blood didn't do that. And it definitely didn't dissolve alien alloy like acid through paper. Yet she had just watched it happen. Single drop had eaten through a sample of Archon, Dominion armor, a metal. Stronger than any human weapon could damage in under 3 seconds? She whispered to herself, This can't be real. The soldier it came from, Sergeant Kane Rourke, had been in a classified combat mission on the edge of human space. He returned with strange wounds that refused to heal and fever that burned hotter than any infection Alara had seen. His commanding officers ordered her to run tests, just a precaution, they said. But now, as she stared at the readings, she realized this was no infection. It was something else entirely. A cold shiver ran through her spine when she saw the molecular scans. Inside Kane's red blood cells were microscopic shards, not biological, not mechanical, but alien. Each shard pulsed faintly, as if alive. When she exposed them to trace elements of Archon metal, the reaction was violent, explosive. If Kane's blood touched certain alien materials, it could cause a chain reaction capable of killing in seconds. She didn't want to believe it, but the data didn't lie. Kane's blood wasn't just dangerous. It was the most lethal substance she had ever seen. The lab's security door hissed open. Captain Darius Holt, head of station security, stepped in, his face pale. Doctor, we have a problem. The council's listening. Lara's heart dropped. What do you mean listening? He pointed to the corner ceiling, a small glowing orb floated there. A surveillance drone, not theirs. Alien make. It pulsed once, then zipped away before Holt could shoot it. Her mind raced. If the Archon Dominion had seen her tests, if they knew about Kane's blood, then the whole human race was in danger. The Archons were powerful, ancient, and ruthless. They didn't fear much, but they feared extinction. And Kane's blood could cause it. They'll come for him, she said, her voice shaking. They'll come for all of us. Holt didn't answer. He didn't need to. They ran to the medical wing, but when they arrived, Kane's bed was empty. His restraints had been cut. Blood droplets trailed across the floor to the broken air vent. He was gone. On the other side of the station, Kane moved through the maintenance shafts, his body aching. He didn't know what they'd done to him, only that something felt wrong inside him. Every sound was sharper, every smell stronger. His heart pounded like it was trying to break free from his chest. He remembered Flash's alien claws, burning light. Something stabbing into his veins, but everything else was a blur. He crawled out into a supply room, ripping the IVs from his arms. The moment the needle came out, the tip melted, hissing with smoke. Kane stared at it, horrified. What the hell? He muttered. The supply room door slid open. A man in a black suit stepped in. He wasn't human. His skin shimmered faintly, his eyes like pools of black glass. Kane had never seen an Archon up close before, but every soldier knew the stories. They were hunters, efficient, cold. The alien smiled, or something close to it. Sergeant Rourke, you're coming with me. Kane's instincts screamed, danger! He grabbed a wrench from the shelf and swung. The alien caught it easily, but the moment Kane's blood from a cut on his hand touched the alien's skin, the creature screamed. Smoke rose from the wound. The skin bubbled and collapsed in on itself like burning wax. The alien fell, twitching dead before it hit the floor. Kane stared at his hand, breathing hard. He didn't know what just happened, but one thing was clear. His blood had killed that thing instantly. He didn't have time to think. An alarm wailed through the station. Red lights flashed. Boots thundered in the corridors. Kane ran, his mind racing. If the Archons were here, they weren't here for a fight. They were here for him. Back in the lab, Alara's hands shook as she transmitted a coded message to Earth. Contain the soldier at all costs. Do not let him fall into alien hands. But even as she sent it, she knew it might already be too late. The Arkan Dominion's War Council had already met. Across the galaxy, a decision was made in cold silence. Humanity is now a level 0 extinction threat. Holographic fleet markers lit up on star charts, plotting a path to the Sol system. In their view, humans were no longer a minor species. They were a contagion. And Kane Rourke was patient zero. Far below, Saturn's rings shimmered in the void. The station seemed so small against the vastness of space. But for the Archons, that small speck was now the most dangerous place in the galaxy, and somewhere inside it, a soldier with the deadliest blood in existence was running for his life. Not knowing yet that every alien empire had just marked his species for destruction. A pale moon hung over Earth's night sky, but it wasn't alone. It's just beyond human detection range. An alien warship floated silently, its black hull drinking in the starlight. The crew inside didn't speak in words, they spoke in pulses, of light and thought, and their orders were clear. Find Sergeant Kane Rourke, bring him back alive, or wipe his planet clean. On the ship's bridge, Commander Vare watched a holographic image of Kane taken from the stolen lab footage. Primitive, Vare said, his voice low and cold, but deadly. His blood must be contained or destroyed. In a small apartment in New York City, Kane sat in darkness. His hands were still wrapped in bandages from the fight on the station, but the cuts had already healed too fast, unnaturally fast. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Every sound outside made him flinch. Every shadow felt like it was moving toward him. He didn't know who to trust. Not the military, they'd probably lock him in some black site. Not the police, they couldn't fight whatever those things were. So he stayed hidden, moving from place to place, cash only, no electronics. But Kane didn't know that someone was already tracking him, not from this world in Washington. DC Dr. Alara Voss slammed her hands onto a desk in a secure underground facility. We have to find him first, she shouted. If the Arkans capture him, Earth is finished. The general across from her didn't flinch. Doctor, you're talking about sending search teams into every major city? We can't do that without causing panic. Alara leaned forward. Panic is coming whether we cause it or not. You think the Arkans will be subtle when they arrive? They'll burn their way through every building until they find him. The general didn't reply, but the tension in the room was answer enough. She pulled up a map. Last signal from the station's emergency beacon put him heading toward New York. We start there. Now, meanwhile, in the streets of the city, rain fell in cold sheets. Kane moved through a crowded market, who'd pulled low eyes scanning every face. He noticed a man across the street, tall, too still, watching him without blinking. Their eyes met, and in that instant, Kane knew. He pushed through the crowd. The man followed, moving faster than humanly possible, slipping between people. Without touching them, Kane turned into an alley, heart pounding, the sound of footsteps closing in. A shadow fell over him. Kane spun, fist raised, but the man caught his arm effortlessly. His skin shimmered for a split second, revealing smooth, metallic flesh beneath. You will come with me, the alien said, voice like grinding metal. Kane didn't answer. He drove his knee into the alien's side. Nothing. The alien didn't even flinch. Kane swung again, his knuckles splitting. Blood sprayed, and where it hit the alien's skin, smoke hissed up instantly. The alien screamed, stumbling back. Kane didn't hesitate. He grabbed a broken metal pipe from the alley floor and slashed it across his own palm, sending a streak of blood flying. It hit the alien's face. The scream that followed was unlike anything human. Flesh bubbled, metal, cracked, and the alien collapsed in seconds. Kane stared at his hand. He wasn't imagining it, whatever had been done to him. His blood was a weapon. High above the city, hidden in the clouds, an Archon scout drone recorded everything. The feed streamed directly to the warship, where Commander Vare's black eyes narrowed. This will be harder than expected, he said. Send the hunters. That night, Alara arrived in New York with 2 military escorts. She had traced Kane's movements to the market and found the alley still stinking of burned alien flesh. She crouched beside the corpse, scanning it with a handheld device. Her worst fears were confirmed. Kane's blood was the trigger. One drop was enough to kill an Archon in seconds. She stood, staring into the dark. If Kane learned to use this, he could kill hundreds, maybe thousands. That made him more dangerous and more valuable than she had imagined. Her cum device crackled. Dr. Voss, this is Holt. You're not the only one here. We've spotted Archon signatures moving toward your location. Lara's pulse spiked. Then we're already too late. Kane had been walking toward a subway entrance when he saw them. 6 figures in black, moving as one, too smooth, too precise to be human. They were coming straight for him, the crowd partying without knowing why. He turned to run and nearly collided with a woman. She grabbed his arm, her eyes locking on his. Kane Rourke? He pulled back. Who the hell are you? Someone trying to save your life, Alara said. Before Kane could answer, the 6 Archons struck. One leaped from a car roof, landing with bone-cracking force. Another kicked over a food cart, sending metal and sparks into the air. People screamed and scattered as the aliens closed in. Kane's instincts took over. He pushed Alara behind him, scanning for an escape, but there was none. The Archons moved in, surrounding them, their black eyes cold and calculating. One of them spoke. You will come with us, human, alive, or in pieces. Kane clenched his fists, feeling the blood drip from his cut palm. For the first time since this nightmare began, he didn't feel fear, felt ready. High above, the alien warship adjusted position, its shadow falling across the city. In the clouds, shapes began to move, dropships descending, and on the streets of New York, Sergeant Kane Rourke faced the first wave of the galaxy's most feared hunters, nothing but his deadly blood, and a stranger who claimed she could save him. The fight for Earth was about to begin. Times Square at night was a living ocean of light, neon signs flashing, giant screens streaming ads, and hundreds of people filling the streets. But tonight, that ocean was about to boil. Kane Rourke stood in the middle of it, Alara Voss at his side, both surrounded by 6 Archon hunters. They moved like shadows, weaving between terrified civilians. People didn't understand what was happening, not yet, but the air felt wrong, too quiet, too cold. One of the Archons stepped forward. Come now, human. Your blood is not yours anymore. It belongs to the Dominion. Kane's jaw tightened. Come and take it. The alien lunged, its blade flashing in the light. Kane blocked with his arm, the edge slicing through his skin. Pain flared, but then the alien froze, looking down in confusion as Kane's blood dripped onto its wrist. The hiss came first, then the smoke, then the scream. The alien dropped its weapon, clawing at the burning wound as flesh dissolved like paper in fire. In seconds, it collapsed, its body melting into the asphalt. Gasps and shouts erupted from the crowd. Dozens of phones came up instantly, recording everything. The images, the impossible death. The aliens in human body were going viral before Kane even moved again. The other Archons attacked at once. Kane ducked, grabbed the fallen blade, and slashed another across the chest. A spray of blood from his still-bleeding palm splattered the alien's armor. The reaction was violent, the metal cracked, the alien's body convulsed, and it fell. Lifeless Alara fired her concealed pistol, hitting one in the leg. Kane leapt forward, grabbing its face and forcing his cut hand against its mouth. It choked, gurgled, then fell still. By now, the crowd was screaming, scattering in every direction. The massive LED screens above them lit up with breaking news alerts. Unknown creatures in Times Square as helicopters began circling overhead. The last 3 Archons pulled back, their black eyes locking on Kane. They spoke in a language no human could understand, but the meaning was clear. Fear. One of them pressed a device on its wrist. Above, the clouds lit up with fire. A massive alien dropship tore through the air, scattering debris and smashing into the street with an earth-shaking impact. Its side hatch opened, revealing more Archons, dozens of them armed with weapons no human had seen before. Alara grabbed Kane's arm. We have to move now. But Kane didn't run. His blood was still dripping, still burning against the alien blade in his grip. Something inside him shifted, a mix of rage and clarity. If the Archons wanted his blood, they were going to pay for every drop. He charged before Alara could stop him. The fight that followed was chaos. Blinding muzzle flashes, searing energy bolts, and the screech of alien metal melting under the touch of human blood. Kane fought like a man possessed, using every injury to his advantage. Every cut, every slash that drew blood became a weapon. One alien grabbed him from behind. He drove his bleeding elbow into its side, feeling it go. Limp instantly. Another tried to slice his leg. Kane stepped forward, spraying a streak of blood across its chest. It fell without a sound. The Archons began to falter. Their fear was visible now, their movements less precise. This wasn't supposed to happen. Humans weren't supposed to be dangerous like this. But Kane, Rourke, wasn't just human anymore. The entire battle was being streamed live. News drones hovered above, capturing every frame. The glowing blood, the smoking alien corpses, the unstoppable soldier in the middle of it all. Across the planet, billions of humans watched in shock and awe. On alien worlds far from Earth, intercepted broadcasts showed the same feed. Panic rippled through the galaxy. In the Dominion's central command, the High Lords stared in silence. The whispered word spread like a virus. Blood killer. Kane and Alara finally broke from the fight. Slipping into a shattered subway entrance as the Archons regrouped. Down in the dark, Kane leaned against a wall, breathing hard. His arms and chest were streaked with glowing red. "You want to tell me what the hell is happening to me now?" Lara's voice was urgent. "It's your blood, Kane. Something infected you during that mission. Something that reacts to Archon. Biology and their technology. You're carrying the deadliest weapon in the galaxy inside you." He gave a humorless laugh. "Lucky me." She shook her head. "You don't understand. The Dominion doesn't negotiate with threats. If they can't take you alive, they'll destroy Earth to make sure no one else ever gets what you have."
Oh.
Kane's jaw tightened. "Then we don't let them take me. We don't let them destroy Earth." Lara hesitated. "You're talking about war." He met her gaze. "I think it's already started. Above ground, Times Square was a ruin, fires burning, alien corpses smoking, military barricades forming. While the Archons weren't retreating, they were. Calling for reinforcements in orbit, the warship commander Veyer received the battle report. His face was unreadable as he gave the order. "Deploy the First Fleet, begin planetary lockdown. No ship leaves Earth." From the far side of the moon, massive shapes began to move warships, dozens of them, sliding into position like a closing fist around the planet far below. In the shadows of the subway tunnels, Kane looked at his hands, still trembling, still glowing faintly with that strange light. For the first time he realized this wasn't just about survival anymore. His blood wasn't just a weapon, it was a declaration. The first war between humans and the galaxy had begun, and he was the reason why. The world had changed overnight by morning. Every news channel was showing the same terrifying images, alien warships hanging above the Earth like massive shadows, blocking the sunlight in parts of the world. There was no mistaking it anymore. Humanity was under siege. In orbit, the Archon fleet stretched across the black sky, their sharp, spear-like hulls glinting faintly in the dim light. The sight was beautiful and horrifying at the same time. And every single one of those ships had its weapons locked on Earth. From the command bridge of the largest vessel, Commander Veyer gave his report to the Dominion's High Lords through a shimmering hologram. "The blood killer resists capture. His allies protect him. We will tighten the net until there is nowhere left to run." The High Lords replied in a single chilling sentence, "Then prepare the purge." In a hidden underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Kane Rourke paced. The command room, restless. Around him, giant screens displayed tactical maps of Earth, flashing red wherever alien forces had landed. The cities of New York, Tokyo, and London were already surrounded by enemy dropships. Ilara. Voss stood at a table covered in strange-looking devices, canisters filled with glowing liquid. We've tested it 3 times, she said. Works. Your blood reacts violently to Arkan armor and their biology. If we can load enough of it into micro-warheads, we can pierce their shields. Kane raised an eyebrow. And how much is enough? She looked away. About 5 liters, Kane frowned. That's all of me. Alara didn't meet his eyes. You'd survive the extraction if we do it carefully, but it will weaken you, maybe permanently. Before Kane could answer, alarms blared. A soldier at the console shouted, "Fleet movement! They're sending ground units toward Colorado." The alien blockade was closing in. The first wave hit within the hour. Archon dropships screamed through the clouds, their sleek black forms. Cutting across the mountains, the base's anti-air guns opened fire, but the alien shields held. Human missiles detonated harmlessly against the shimmering energy barriers. Inside the command room, frustration boiled over. "Nothing gets through," a colonel growled. "We're throwing rocks at a wall." Kane glanced at Alara. "What? If we don't throw rocks?" She caught on immediately. "You're thinking direct delivery?" Kane nodded. "Load 1 warhead with my blood, I'll take it to them myself." In the lab, Alara worked fast, drawing blood from Kane, mixing it with stabilizing agents so it wouldn't react until triggered. The liquid glowed faintly in the glass cylinder, dangerous even at rest. She slid it into the warhead casing, locking it in place. "You know, this is a one-way trip," she said quietly. Kane smirked. "You've said that every time I leave." Alara almost smiled, but her hands shook as she handed him the weapon. "Just don't make me say it for real." The plan was simple. Kane would use a stolen dropship to board the Arkan mothership and plant the warhead at its core. The explosion would destroy the ship and hopefully disrupt the entire fleet's control network. But simple plans rarely stayed simple. Kane's stolen dropship cleared the atmosphere, skimming past the edges of the blockade. Alarms screamed as alien fighters locked onto him. He pushed the craft harder, weaving through enemy fire. Inside the mothership, Arkan security tracked him. "Intruder approaching hangar bay," one officer reported. Vare's voice was calm. "Let him in." The dropship touched down in the vast alien hangar. Kane stepped out, weapon in hand, every muscle ready to fight. But there was no fight, no guards, just silence. He moved cautiously, following the map Alara had uploaded into his visor. The corridors were sleek, black metal, pulsing faintly like veins. Every step echoed. Every shadow felt alive. Halfway to the reactor core, the trap was sprung. From hidden panels, dozens of Archons stepped out, surrounding him as their weapons gleamed in the dim light. Vayer himself stepped forward, his eyes cold. "You bleed death," the commander said. "And death belongs to the Dominion." Kane tightened. His grip on the warhead. "Come take it," the Archons charged. Kane fought like a storm, his blood splattering onto their weapons and armor, killing them in seconds. But for every alien that fell, 2 more appeared. His cuts deepened, his strength waned, but he kept moving toward the reactor. Then the unthinkable happened. A plasma bolt struck the warhead. Sparks exploded. The casing cracked. The stabilizing agent hissed out. Alara's voice burst in his cums. "Kane, the reaction is unstable. If it fully triggers, you have minutes." Kane didn't. "Stop." He ran harder, forcing his way through the last corridor until he saw it, the reactor chamber. A massive sphere of swirling energy. But between him and it was something he hadn't expected. Rows upon rows of stasis pods, glowing faintly. Inside each one, a human. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Kane froze. If the warhead went off here, every one of them would die. From the shadows, Vare's voice echoed. "Your choice, blood killer. Save your species or save yourself." The reactor chamber pulsed like the heart of a living creature, its swirling energy casting ghostly light across the walls. Kane Rourke stood at its edge, breathing hard, the warhead in his hands ticking toward disaster. Rows of stasis pods stretched. Out before him, hundreds of them, each holding a human suspended in frozen stillness. Men, women, even children. They were alive, their faces peaceful, unaware of the nightmare outside. Alara's voice crackled in his ear. You've got less than 4 minutes before the reaction goes critical. You have to detonate now. Eyes stayed locked on the pods. There are people here, Alara. Hundreds of them. Pause. If you don't destroy that reactor, there won't be a planet left for them to go home to. Kane clenched his jaw. This was the kind of choice no soldier was supposed to face, the kind that haunted you forever, no matter what you decided. The shadows, Commander Veyer, stepped forward, his black eyes reflecting the reactor's light. You see now? He said calmly. Your blood is dangerous.
Oh.
Your life is dangerous. But here you can save these fragile creatures. Surrender to me, and they will live. Kane didn't answer. Veyer continued, his voice smooth. If you trigger your weapon, their blood will boil in their veins before they take a single breath. Of freedom? Is that how the blood killer wants to be remembered? Kane's grip tightened on the warhead. I'd rather be remembered than erased. He moved fast, dropping the warhead into his pack and drawing the stolen alien blade from his belt. The first 2 Archons charged and fell instantly as Kane slashed them, his blood sizzling on the metal. He kicked one stasis pod control panel, the glass sliding open with a hiss. A young woman inside gasped, falling into his arms. She coughed, eyes wide with confusion. Where am I? Not important, Kane said. Run when you can. Lara's voice came sharp in his ear. Kane, what are you doing? You don't have time for this, and I'll make time. He growled. He moved down the rows, smashing open pod controls, pulling people free. The chamber filled with the sound of voices waking from deep sleep, of fear and confusion. Some stumbled, others crawled, but Kane kept them moving toward the exit. The Archons fought harder now, realizing what he was doing. Plasma fire lit up the chamber. Kane took a hit to the shoulder. Pain ripped through him, but he stayed on his feet. Blood poured down his arm, splashing onto a nearby Archon. The alien's armor melted instantly, the creature collapsing without a sound. He pushed forward, guiding more prisoners out. Each step felt heavier, each breath shorter. 2 minutes left. Veyer finally moved, his speed inhuman. In a blink, he stood between Kane and the last cluster of pods. His voice was cold. No more games. You die now. They clashed blade against blade, sparks flying. Veyer was stronger, faster, but Kane was relentless. Every slash he landed drew his own blood, turning his weapon into a poison-tipped spear. A deep cut across Veyer's side made the commander stagger, but not fall. Impressive, Veyer hissed. But you bleed too much. Soon there will be nothing left of you. Kane didn't reply. He kicked the last pod open, pulling a child into his arms and pushing him toward the freed prisoners. 1 minute left. Alara's voice broke through the cums, tight with panic. Kane, the reaction's accelerating. If you don't plant that warhead now, it's going to detonate on you, and everything within a kilometer. Kane's eyes darted to the reactor. It was now or never. We sprinted forward, dodging Veyer's blade, and slammed the warhead against the reactor core. Magnetic clamps locked it in place instantly. Lights flared red across the chamber. The ship's alarm system began to wail. Veyer roared, charging toward him. Kane met him halfway, both slashing at once. Pain exploded in Kane's ribs, but his strike landed across Veyer's chest, spraying the commander with his blood. The alien screamed a sound of rage and pain and collapsed to his knees. 30 seconds left. Kane turned to run toward the exit, shouting for the prisoners to move faster. But the corridor ahead was already filling with Arcan reinforcements. Energy bolts flashed. Prisoners fell. Kane dove forward, tackling the nearest soldier, smashing its weapon, throwing himself into the fight again. The clock in his head was ticking. 20 seconds. 15. Ilara's voice was frantic. Kane, you're out of time. Get out of there now. But Kane didn't move toward the exit. He turned back toward the reactor chamber where dozens of prisoners were still trapped behind. Enemy lines. He knew then there was no getting out. His blood still dripped from his wounds, pooling on the floor, sizzling against alien metal. He tightened his grip on his blade, planting his feet. If the warhead was going to go off, He'd make sure every Arkan in the room went with him. He took one deep breath. Then he charged. Up in Earth's orbit, human and alien ships alike detected a massive energy spike from the Arkan mothership. Sensors screamed warnings. The light from the explosion was already beginning to bloom, brighter than the stars, and in the chaos, no one could tell if Kane Rourke had made it out alive. The world was silent, not because people stopped talking, but because every screen, every radio, every network was locked on one single Athen Cole's live transmission from the alien mothership. His face looked pale, but his eyes burned. With fire, behind him, the shimmering core of the alien reactor pulsed like a living heart, each beat sending waves of invisible energy across the chamber. "This is not just about Earth," Ethan said, his voice steady. "This is about every planet they've destroyed, every species they've erased. And it ends tonight." The alien leader, a towering figure wrapped in black armor, stepped forward. His voice echoed like thunder. "Your blood is a curse, human. It will destroy the galaxy." Ethan's jaw tightened. "No, my blood will save it." Without warning, he stepped toward the reactor. His hand bled from a deep cut, the same blood that had driven the aliens into panic since they first discovered him. It was the deadliest substance in the known universe, a molecular structure so unstable it could tear apart alien DNA on contact. The leader raised a weapon, but Ethan kept walking. "You've been using fear to control the galaxy for centuries. You call my blood a weapon, I call it freedom." Back on Earth, in the underground command bunker, Commander Vega shouted into the comms, "Ethan, don't do this. You won't survive." Ethan smiled faintly. "I was never supposed to survive. I was supposed to be a lab experiment. But they made a mistake. They gave me a reason to fight." With one swift motion, he pressed his bleeding hand to the reactor's core. The effect was instant. The reactor screamed a deep, vibrating hum that shook the alien ship to its bones. Bright cracks of light ripped through the walls as the alien leader staggered back, its armor melting away under invisible waves of destruction in space. The alien fleet lit up with explosions, each ship crumbling as the deadly reaction spread. Through their systems, the mothership's core glowed brighter, the energy now uncontrollable. Ethan turned back to the camera one last time. "Tell Earth, we're free." The screen went white. On Earth, millions watched in stunned silence. Then the cheers began, not small, polite cheers, but the roar of a species that had just taken its first true step into power. Weeks later, alien wreckage still floated in orbit. Scientists studied the remains, while governments argued about what to do with the knowledge of Ethan's blood. But in the shadows, Vega had already made her decision. Earth would keep the secret, because the galaxy had just learned something terrifying, that humans were not weak, not helpless. And if Ethan Cole's sacrifice meant anything, it was that. Humanity now held the most dangerous weapon in the universe, and no one, not even the stars, would ever forget it.